Live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Total Education Show, the talk shop for teachers, parents, and administrators. Here's your host of the show, Neil Haley, the Total Tutor.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor, neilhaley.com. And I consider this woman just unbelievable. If you're looking at a woman athlete that can compete better than the men, this is just a tremendous story. So I'm excited to welcome to the program Jessie-Graff from American Ninja Warrior. Jessie, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Now, Jessie, tell us the story of why you competed in American Ninja Warrior. What gave you that idea that you could do this?
Well, initially it just looked like fun, and I thought it was something I would jump into, see how I did, and have a great time. And I really started training seriously for it when I blew out my knee, right around season 6. And normally, I train gymnastics, tons of different styles of martial arts, and flipping and free running, and all these things that required legs. And I needed some athletic challenge that I could work on while my legs recovered from, a major ACL surgery, which takes about a year. And so I just decided, well, Ninja Warrior was a lot of fun. Everyone was really nice. Let's work towards that because that'll keep me occupied and inspired. And so I worked on pull-ups and grip strength and became better friends with all the competitors who do it year after year and just fell in love with it. And after that year of training for it, competed and had a great time and did really well, and it just became a huge part of my life, so I kept working on it.
And did you ever think that you would be a world record holder and that you would be one of the top competitors in American Ninja Warrior? We can't say men, women, it's just top competitor. Did you think that was going to ever happen?
Thank you. Well, in a way, yes and no. When I was in high school, I was a pole vaulter, and I would beat a lot of the boys in the competitions, and I really dreamed of being a world record holder in the pole vault. And I won 3 indoor and outdoor state championships, and that was just the goal. It was like my whole life revolved around school and pole vaulting. And when that didn't work out for me, when I didn't make, I was close to the Olympic trials but didn't make it, and it was really tough, and I didn't know if I'd ever have a chance at something like that again. And so getting to train for and compete in American Ninja Warrior and then to rise to the top of the pack and hold records is a dream come true in a totally different way than I ever imagined.
I'm sure for sure. And when you did finally break that world record and you finished that obstacles, how did you feel? I mean, you think of athletes in there when they finally accomplish something they dream about. How did it feel once you were finished and you did it?
It was, I don't know. It was this wave of relief and elation, and it was just so many years had gone into this, not just, the maybe 3 years that I'd been training for Ninja Warrior, but all those years of training for gymnastics and pole vaulting and wanting to have that experience so badly. And then, failing at both of those things, gymnastics and pole vaulting, and then getting to experience it in this other sport was just overwhelming, and I don't even know how to describe it.
Well, adulation, everything in between as a competitor. What would you offer advice to young people, especially young girls or young women that want to compete in this sport? What advice would you offer them about doing this?
Well, first, never let anyone tell you can't do something because you're a girl. That's just silly. Do understand that we don't gain muscle as easily as men. So if you want to keep up with them and beat them, you have to work harder and smarter. I do a lot of studying on how do I gain muscle the most quickly and efficiently, but also how many rest days do I have to take, what muscle groups do I have to rest, and how do you gain tendon strength, and how much rest do you have to take. So you just have to train smarter. To feel impossible, that's normal. You try it and you fail a lot of times and learn to enjoy that as part of the journey, because the more times you fall in effort of gaining a new skill, the more worthwhile it is, the more exciting when you achieve it. And, you know, it's not just people who can do things and people who can't. It's how hard and how long are you willing to work for it? And can you find those friends that will make that journey enjoyable?
That's great advice. I'm waiting for the book to come out, Jessie. I'm sure that's coming soon, right? Working on a book at one point to tell your story.
I don't know about soon. I'm definitely collecting all my life lessons, and but gosh, sitting down and writing a book would be quite a time commitment. But maybe someday.
How many hours do you train a day? That's another great thing to think about for our listeners out there.
I don't even know how to describe it. So much of it feels like playing. I would say that maybe 1 hour a day feels like the really boring, disciplined injury prevention work where I'm, you know, in the weight room or in the physical therapy room, just specifically building those muscles that maybe get neglected doing the fun things. But sometimes I'm working a 12 to 19-hour day on set, and maybe I'm physically active a large portion of that time, or maybe I'm in a corner in wardrobe trying not to mess up the hair and makeup that they spent so long doing and don't get to work out. But on a day that I have to myself, I'm probably going to spend an hour doing my pull-up workout and another hour or two like riding my bike from one place to another, and 2 to 3 hours rock climbing. So it varies dramatically from day to day.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's a lot of fun, but when would you be able to write a book? That's a great point. So what were your thoughts about Monday night? Tell me about your thoughts about Monday night.
Gosh, it's we're starting a new season after having a season that went so well is intimidating for sure, because people sometimes forget it's not just a test of strength and agility. A huge part of this is, you know, these really finicky and volatile obstacles where a tiny misstep, everything is over before you get to test your strength. So it's really scary going into that, not knowing if you're going to get far enough to really push those limits, or if it's just going to suddenly end in a splash on the second or third obstacle, because you just don't know what to expect. I know the expectations are pretty high on me, but you have to remember, going into an obstacle course like this, the most important thing is that training for it has given me so much new strength and agility and capability that I can use in my life, and that's more important than performing well on an obstacle course. But I'm really excited to see how I can challenge myself, and the experience of being in such a high-pressure situation and testing your limits in a safe way and seeing how do you adapt to that pressure. Can you keep your mind about you when the lights and camera are on and you have to perform? So facing the part that is the scariest is also a rush and a really good learning experience for anyone.
All right, so everyone needs to tune in Monday nights to American Ninja Warrior at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. Best place we can find information on you so we can root you on and find out what's going on with you. Where's the best place we can connect with you? Where can we go?
All of my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is Jessie-Graff Power, JESSIEGRAFFPWR.
And for our listeners out there that understand, you do stunt work as well, so you're a busy person for sure. And best of luck and the continued success on American Ninja Warrior, and we'll be rooting for you, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jessie. Take care. All right, see ya. Okay.
Bye.
See ya. You're listening to Neil Haley's show. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com, and I'm excited to welcome the program. And we remember him from The Hobbit and many other things. Graham-mctavish, AMC's The Preacher. Graham, thanks for calling. How are you?
Happy to be here, Neil, yeah.
Absolutely. Here's a quick question, Graham. Your experience with the Hobbit series and stuff like that, what did you gain as an actor being part of that project for so many years?
Well, it was a great life experience as much as a job. really, I guess, what distinguished it really from anything else that I'd done up to that point. And you made lifelong friends. You worked with people for 2.5 years in that kind of intense environment. I mean, in the case of the guys like me who were playing the dwarves, we were carrying around up to 70 pounds of extra body weight with our costumes and
Wow.
weapons and all the rest of it. And, you experience that together, and it bonds you. So that was one thing. And another thing that I did was I fell in love with New Zealand, where I now have a home. So
Oh, wow.
it was an amazing, amazing experience. It really was, one that I will never forget.
How much time altogether did you film all the films? Spent time shooting and stuff, and for all the movies.
Well, I would guess you're probably talking about close to 300 main unit shooting days and over 200 second unit shooting days. So, yeah, it was spread over 2.5 years. We had the odd break here and there. But yeah, it was pretty full on, and every day, I would have to have a prosthetic applied to my face, and get out there and charge around in Middle Earth, which is New Zealand. Yeah. I mean, New Zealand is Middle Earth. It's quite extraordinary, really. Yeah.
And it's really interesting, Graham, that thinking about that is that the relationships, many times you get to develop friendships and bonds with other actors and actresses on set as much as you can when you film for that many days. Normal shoots are not like that. You might be on a certain TV show.
No, they're not. I mean, even a really big, Hollywood movie nowadays, maybe 80 days, that would be a big one. So to be going into the hundreds. You're rolling in, multiple film experiences into one, really, and in this particular case, I got to know that group of men and women in a way that I've never before or since. So yeah, it was unique.
All right, so let's talk about AMC's The Preacher, and tell us a little bit about your character, Graham.
Well, in Preacher, I play the Saint of Killers. Up to this point, he's been known as just the sort of anonymous, the cowboy. And after his sojourn in hell for the last 140 years or so, he reemerges. You saw him at the end of season 1 enter the world of the 21st century. And when we begin in season 2, we pick up straight away, really, with that. And he is a relentless killing machine, as one of the characters describes him, a beast from hell. And he is on the trail of Jessie, Tulip, and Cassidy. Jessie particularly because he is host to Genesis, which is an entity that is a union of an angel and a demon. And it's my task to get it back. And Jessie happens to be in the way, as do a lot of other people. And those other people meet a pretty grisly end. So he's not somebody who's going to stand and have a conversation with you. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
He's not called the Saint of Conversations.
To get listeners and viewers that have not watched AMC's The Preacher, tell us a little bit about the premise of the show, so that we can get new fans of the show for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's based on a series of comics written by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, and they explore really the relationship that we all have with the good and the bad within us. That's the broad story. All of the principal characters wrestle with their own inner demons that are, in the case of Preacher, externally manifested in, heaven, hell, God, the devil. Yes, they all struggle with that. And Jessie and Tulip and Cassidy are the three little gang that travel around together. Jessie is a preacher from Texas. Tulip is his female assassin girlfriend, and Cassidy is his best friend who happens to be an Irish vampire. and I am a 19th century cowboy who has gone quite literally through hell, who is on their trail. And that's essentially the story of Preacher. There are many other characters in it as well, extraordinary characters. There's one who's hair star, who's in charge of this sort of crypto-fascist organization called the Grail. There's Eugene, who's also known as Arseface, and just from his name alone, I think you can gather what he looks like. And many others who are slowly being introduced into the show, and it's a fantastic, wild, crazy ride.
Well, it definitely seems like a fantastic, wild, crazy ride. Again, season 2 premieres on June 25th. People definitely need to go ahead and check out AMC. But it's interesting when you talk about at 10 p.m. Eastern. What's really interesting when you talk about this is that there is a struggle between good and evil in all our lives. What we deal with, Graham, on every day, that are we going to do good or are we going to do bad? And we could always have this mindset that we want to do good, and then somebody turns us on the wrong direction. But this is giving it a little bit more of an extreme way of how our mind goes every day in so many ways, even though it's... absolutely. That's what Garth and Steve were exploring in the books, and that's what Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and Sam Catlin, who are the guys that are in charge of the TV show, really are exploring as well. And those are things that we all recognize. They just happen, in this case, to be set in a very stylish, witty, playful environment. That's, I think, one of the important things about Preacher is that, these some pretty bad things happen in it, and there's some crazy stuff, but it's all done with a great wit. And there are moments when you're watching Preacher where you catch yourself laughing out loud, and you think, oh my God, oh no, I shouldn't be laughing at that. That's just terrible. Oh no. But you can't help but laugh. And that's the unique thing, I think, about Preacher and the television landscape, is that it takes these really quite extreme people, places them in this sort of wild, crazy environment, and does it with a sense of humor. That's important, for sure. And our conscious would not be an interesting thing, Graham, to put on, because our conscious is every day. The good, should I do good? Should I do bad? But this is in the extremes for sure, and then you can laugh about it as well. Graham, you're a fantastic spokesperson for this show. Good job on that. Sometimes actors don't have that ability, but you definitely do, for sure.
Oh, well, thanks very much. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, okay, so the best place we can find information on you, Graham, and follow you, where can we go? Are you on social media and connected in different ways? Yeah.
Yes, I'm on all of those things: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Graham McTavish. That's all you need to look for there. And if you're a fan of Scotland, then check out Outlander, which I did for 2 seasons, which was a great joy, going back to my home nation, and of course The Hobbit, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's plenty to keep you busy.
Well, Graham, you're awesome. Good talking to you. Best of luck, and I'm definitely going to check out season 2. Okay, good talking to you.
All right. Well, thanks very much indeed.
All right. Thanks, Graham.
Thank you.
See ya. Okay. Take care. See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye. You're listening to The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com. And this is going to be a really fun conversation. I'm excited to welcome the program celebrity Jessica Morris. Jessica, thanks for calling. You're going to talk about Ladies of the Lake.
Hi.
Amazon's Ladies of the Lake.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Jessica. Now, for our listeners out there, what would you consider your biggest break in acting? Tell us that story. That's because it's always a great thing to know when we decided to act and what kind of led you to where you are today.
I mean, my biggest break, I would say, was when I booked the role in One Life to Live. Because before that, I had done, my very first role was a horror film, and I'd done little roles here and there, but that was my biggest job that I booked. And I remember actually my agent, who was just really great and supportive, she kind of tricked me. She had me come into her office and didn't tell me what it was about. And this is after I had flown to New York to screen test, come back, hadn't heard anything for a few months. And so she had me come into the office, I sat there. She looks at me very seriously and asks, "What happened when you were in New York?"
Yeah.
And I just like I turned bright red. I like couldn't breathe. I thought I did something wrong. I thought I was in trouble or something. Like,
right.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was fine. And she was like, "Well, look at this." She hands me a piece of paper, and it was like the offer for the 5-year contract.
Wow.
And I was like, it took me a minute to like even process it, because I was just like, what? And then I was just basically jumping up and down. And I remember my brother was in town visiting at the time, and I was just running and jumping and running down the hallway of my apartment. I'm just like so happy.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting when you talk about a 5-year contract. Not many acting gigs get you a 5-year contract, right? No, not at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was like my first biggest job, for sure.
And what would you say is one of your greatest memories of being on One Life to Live?
My greatest memory. Well, I met a lot of good friends. I would say me and Melissa Archer, she's still like one of my best friends, and so meeting her was great. We just we used to have fun together all the time, and I'm trying to think of an exact memory, but it was a while ago. I do remember one time, it was kind of funny. We both went to this event for the show, and we didn't understand what the attire was supposed to be.
Okay.
And so we both ended up dressing really inappropriately, but we did it together. So it's kind of funny when we look back, because everyone was dressed very kind of like business casual, and we were wearing like these big like faux fur coats. And we just went like total, just tacky, glammed out. Like, and I really don't know what we were thinking, but we were younger and we had fun with it, and everyone was just looking at us like we were bonkers.
Exactly, and that's the fun thing of doing shows like that, for sure. And now, interesting. Now, your latest project involving Ladies of the Lake, because it was a book before this miniseries on Amazon. So, explain how this project developed, especially because it's very interesting to look at a book into a miniseries and the kind of soap opera kind of relationship that it brings to the table with the writer. And maybe there's some sort of relationship from One Life to Live of why you're on this. So tell us about that.
So you're asking like what the connection is between getting involved in the web soaps?
Yeah.
It definitely is through connections that you make. The friends that I have kept from the soap, once they, move back to LA, and then we hang out, and then, through them, you can invite to a party, and then you meet someone else there, and then they invite you to another party, and then, it's how it works. The networking is a huge part of getting work in the entertainment industry. And so it's the same in the soap world as it is, with any other, I guess, type of acting or group of people.
Absolutely, I guess. But I was saying,
huge movie where all the same actors work with the same directors. Yeah,
I was looking at Days of Our Lives producer. If there was some sort of relationship you had with him based on when you were in One Life to Live, if he was involved producing, that's what I was wondering. Just because, again, having somebody who's that wrote the book Ladies of the Lake and then decided to put it into a miniseries, that's a little different, especially for this producer, right? Yeah, that's where I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I had never worked on Days of Our Lives. I had met Michael Caruso, I believe, at a work event, and I think he just had seen my work around town and kind of thought that I was perfect for that series and for the character. So that worked out.
Absolutely. Is that so? The kind of looking at that story of Ken's whole story, that's a little different for somebody that he's produced before, but wrote a book, and then it ends up becoming a miniseries. Is he used to doing that? Is he done other where he's kind of wrote a screenplay before, or screenwrite before it ended up becoming a TV show or miniseries?
This is the only one I know of, but I mean, he could have some secret novels, hiding that I don't know about. Hopefully he does. It'd be great if he had some other cool ideas for some series.
And that brings some of the fans to the table before even the miniseries comes out, right? Because people that have read the book, right? The novel.
Right.
That's cool.
Exactly. Which always makes you kind of nervous because you don't want to give storylines away when you do interviews, but you're kind of, well, it's the book, so I guess you can't tell everyone what it's about because they're going to know anyway.
Exactly. You're gonna see those certain situations where and that, there you go, for sure. Let's kind of talk about your character, and then we'll talk about Ladies of the Lake. Kind of the connection of those two. Sure. Go ahead. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about it.
I'm sorry.
No, I wanted you to tell us
about what?
About Ladies of the Lake, your character.
Oh yeah, it's about these women that live in this fictional kind of very wealthy, ritzy community. And as perfect as they seem on the outside, they have a lot of secrets and kind of abusive relationships and husbands and things that they're trying to overcome. And little by little, they all kind of gather their strength and, their unity as friends and start offing their husbands. And hopefully you don't feel too, judgmental about that, because even though it is a terrible thing to kill someone in this series, I think you really feel for the women, and you're just glad that they're getting out of those situations. And there could be better ways to do that. Let's say in real life, in a fictional circumstance, it's very entertaining to watch.
It definitely seems like it's going to be something that's entertaining to watch because of the fact that some people just are fed up with what their cheating husbands or whatever, abusive husbands, and what a way to kind of live through this and say, oh my gosh, this is they did
exactly.
The Ladies of the Lake did the right thing for sure in some
right.
ways.
So, women at home that are just like so angry with their husbands and can't believe what they've done, they can watch the show and just live vicariously through us. Don't actually kill your husbands, because then you're going to end up on Orange is the New Black, and that's not going to be good.
And they're going to be on Orange is the New Black, but they're not going to be on Netflix's. They're going to be behind bars.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no advice on this for sure, and all those different things. Have you been connecting on social media with people that have read the book even before the series has come out and saying, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this because I've read the book and really loved it"?
That's a great idea. I think that, I should have talked to you, and you should have given me that advice like months before. Because I didn't even think to do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe these connections of Amazon original programming that that it's really cool, because some of them were books before they became shows, and that you're bringing this whole audience in before even it starts, and it kind of, they have their favorite characters and they like specific things, so it's definitely a great opportunity. So, but again, I look at your laundry list of projects, Jessica, and the short time we have, let's list some more of them. Give us some other things that are updated so our listeners out there can check you out for other things, not just Ladies of the Lake. You have some other stuff coming up too, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I just finished doing another Lifetime movie called The Wrong Man, and that is going to be pretty awesome. I really like this. I've done a lot of those movies. I've done like The Wrong Roommate, The Wrong Student, and they keep making these, turning these movies out. But this one I think is going to be really fun and really sexy and really dynamic. Vivica Fox is in this one again, and Rip Hillis is in it and does a fantastic job. So that you should look out for probably in the next few months. I've got a comedy called The Hollywoodance that's available on iTunes currently. And I'm just working on a bunch of writing projects. All of a sudden, I just developed a little writing career, and so any free time that I have, I'm writing.
Fantastic. So you enjoy writing. So that just adds another part of your repertoire. So that, hey, I don't just act, but I also can write. So what types of things are you writing? Are you trying to write different movies, television? What is your plan?
I got the opportunity to. I'd written a drama thriller script a couple of years ago and kind of put it. And we kind of developed this into a great Lifetime movie. And since I've done a handful of Lifetime movies already, I kind of already know the format anyway, but, the writing format is a totally different thing. So I did that, and now I'm also developing 2 more, Lifetime drama thriller movies. So I guess it was sort of an easy transition to go from them, because I'm just already sort of in that world.
Yeah, you definitely seem for sure in that world. And what do you think of the fans in Lifetime? They really are into it, aren't they? These movies that come out.
Oh, they love it. And they're so funny. On Twitter, when you're watching the movie and the people that tweet in, they're great. It's like they love the shirtless men and the crazy women. That's why I just really want to always play like the victim, like the protagonist, which is great too. I mean, I love being the lead, like, ingenue or whatever, but like I would love to, that's what I'm writing for myself. One of the pieces I'm writing for myself to play is one where I can just go, all out crazy.
Hey, that's what it is. You got to entertain, right? And you're definitely coming with a platform to do that. And Lifetime, definitely, some of these men make the wrong decisions on Lifetime with these different things, and it happens in real life as well, Jessica. And that men just don't make always the right decisions. We all understand.
Yeah, neither do women. None of us do.
None of us do. And we can kind of live vicariously through characters like yourself instead of making a big mistake. Instead, as you talked about.
Because in real life, there's consequences. If you do something bad or crazy in real life, all of a sudden you're having to pay for it and you're having to take responsibility, and that's never fun. But when you're acting, as a character, you can just do whatever you want, and then they don't cut, and you're free and clear. It's awesome.
There's no more worries. Exactly. And so that's for sure. Yeah. So Jessica, the best place we can find information on you and connect with you on social media and stuff, everyone needs to check out, again, Amazon's Ladies of the Lake and also all your other projects. But best place, I'm sure, you seem like you're really connected social media-wise, that we can connect with you so that you can go out and tell our listeners what your latest stuff is. Where can we go?
Jessica Morris 01 and Jessica A. Morris.
Fantastic. Jessica, you're definitely a treat. Now you have to reach out to these book fans. This is what Amazon is going to say. It's easy with the Lifetime, and it is easy with the other. You wouldn't believe, but you'll see a different type of social media audience, but ones that really like those mysteries. So definitely good talking to you. I hope great success on all the other projects, and I'm impressed by the writing as well. Keep that up as well. That's going to keep you working.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you.
And it was great talking to you, and best of luck. Take care.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You could check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com, and I am so excited about my guests today. And they have been doing the radio thing for a while, but before that, unbelievable Hollywood stories for sure. So I'm excited to welcome the program couple, Larry and Nancy-Manetti. Guys, thanks for calling. And we know Larry from Magnum PI. We know Nancy from Magnum PI. Hello. And all that stuff. Guys, thanks for calling and being on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, Neil, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, Larry, let's go to the story of, I think the best story is, you had your part on Magnum PI, but did you meet Nancy there? Is that where you guys met?
No, we met way before that.
Oh, really? Okay.
We met at the actor Robert Conrad's house.
Really? Wow. Interesting. And Nancy, go ahead, Nancy.
Go ahead, Neil.
Oh, I was going to say, so Nancy, tell us how you guys met. You met at Robert Conrad's house, and was it love at first sight, Nancy?
Well, no, it was like at first sight, and Larry and I became very good friends. We didn't really date in the beginning. I went on double dates with him, and I had a boyfriend. He had girlfriends, and somehow over the years, it just kind of evolved. And the next thing Larry knew is we were married. Yeah. Cupid shot his arrow. And then, of course, Larry done Magnum PI, and I was pregnant with our child, and there was an actor's strike, so they postponed the beginning of Magnum, and when they finally settled the strike, and Larry had to leave for Hawaii, it was too late for me to fly. So I was due in about a month, My doctor said no. So Larry went off. I had our wonderful son, Lorenzo, here in L.A., and 3 weeks later, I got on the plane and flew to Hawaii and got off and handed Larry his son.
Wow, Larry. Tremendous story. So was she's saying she was interested in you in a little bit, but how interested were you and Nancy when you first met her?
Well, I was pretty interested, but I wasn't about to let her know. Yeah, we were, at that time I was doing a television series called Baba Black Sheep, and I was pretty young then. It was the start of my career. And in those days, everybody dated. It wasn't like today. So we were both, in different restaurants and different nightclubs, and we just became real good friends.
Neil, I got to tell you, I think sometimes that's really a great way because you really get to know the person. It's not, a first date, a second date. And we became really good friends, and I think that's why we've been married almost 40 years now.
That's tremendous. So you guys became friends, Larry, before finally dating in certain ways because you were all in like the same circles together, and you're like, hey, this seems like somebody, and we get along and have fun, and that's the key thing to a lasting marriage, isn't Larry? Friendship.
Yeah, well, in any relationship, I believe that you've got to be friends. You got to have a camaraderie with somebody, and then to take that step to be married. Divorce was not even in our vocabulary, and we both were very strict about that. We knew that we'd never be divorced, and we knew that when we did find the right person, that was it. So it paid off. We're still together, and like Nancy said, it's over 40 years, and it'll be another 140 more.
That's fantastic for sure. Now, Larry, tell us the story about getting the gig with Magnum PI. How did that happen?
Well, I was under contract to Universal Studios, and I had already completed a series called Chase for Universal, and then Robert Conrad wanted me very badly in his new series called Baba Black Sheep. So I did that, and then we were canceled after a couple of years, and I was speculating the idea of doing Simon and Simon for Universal, and I was pretty set on it. And I got a call from Don Belisario, who was the writer, executive producer of Magnum, and he said, listen, I've got this great role. It's called Rick, and you portray Humphrey Bogart, and you think you're Humphrey Bogart, and you do lines like Humphrey Bogart, and you dress like Humphrey Bogart. And I thought this guy was nuts. But I said, well, it sounds interesting, but I'm thinking about doing another show. Who's starring in this new series? And he said, a new actor named Tom Selleck. Well, ironically, 2 weeks prior to that, I did, what the heck was the name of that thing? I can't remember.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll take it. Anyway, I had worked with Tom on a series as guest stars, and I thought that this guy was the most magnificent-looking man on film. And when he said Tom Selleck, I figured, well, with this new guy, I got to take a chance. So that's how it happened. And I was always on a leash when I did a show. I never believed it would last long. I thought that when I went to Hawaii, I would be there for a couple of weeks and back and looking for another day.
That's interesting. So you didn't know if the show, Larry, would last or not last, because again, you knew the business and how the business works, and some shows do well and others. And you just heard this premise of this show, and you said, "Really, am I going to luck out to get to go to Hawaii to shoot all the time and live in paradise, pretty much, for a gig? It's too good to be true, right?"
Yeah. Well, I had done.
Rockford Files.
Oh, the name of the show I did with Selleck was called The Rockford Files.
Oh, yeah.
With James Garner. But I had done Baba Black Sheep, The Chase, and then I did a short-lived series called The Duke. So, in my mind, these series were not here to stay. So, I thought for sure, I'd be back in a couple of weeks. I didn't think Magnum would last long. I knew it was terrific, but the day I was at the supermarket and saw all the magazine covers and Tom Selleck's picture, I said, "Oh boy,
yes,
this looks like it's bulletproof."
Yep, him being a heartthrob kept that show getting great ratings then, Larry, right? That all women wanted to see him all the time.
Yeah, well, Selleck was very, very big. I mean, he still is. He's universal.
Absolutely. So, Nancy, what did you think of this whole situation when you were watching this Magnum PI develop and Larry's getting such a huge opportunity with Magnum PI?
I thought it was magnificent. I was just so proud of the show, and I have to tell you, being there, and I lived there off and on with our son. I would get homesick and fly home once in a while, but I got to tell you, the camaraderie between the guys was just magical. They would literally have dinner almost every night together after shooting all day. They played jokes on each other. It was. And I've been in the business since I was a little girl, been on a lot of sets. And I have to say, the Magnum PI set was one of the best ones I've ever seen. It was a happy, happy show.
Definitely seems like that. And Larry, you guys felt like a family, right? How many years was this the show? How long did it last?
It was 8.5.
8.5. So really, that's a huge family development and relationships, right, Larry, with the people on the show?
Yeah, definitely.
The guys still talk to each other. In fact, Larry was on the phone with Tom this morning.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, the beat goes on. It's great.
That's fantastic. So it's and that's what acting does, right, Larry? Especially when you spend a lot of time with the same people every day for so long, that it becomes your family, right? In a lot of ways.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
There
okay.
are shows that I've done that you don't adhere to the cast. There's always some goofball somewhere, but Magnum was created in heaven when they cast Magnum and put all of us together. It was a chemistry that could not be beat. And it paid off to this day. You can see the camaraderie and the chemistry between us all. And we all really, truly not only like each other, but I think, honestly, we really love each other. I talk to Selleck all the time and have great memories. It's something that'll last till the day they close the lid on the coffin.
And how did that friendship develop, Larry? Because you worked with him once before, but once you started working with him, what made that relationship so well on set and I guess off as well? You and Tom.
Well, he's just a wonderful guy. I mean, like I said, everybody there was very sharing. Nobody was a hog or a pig. We all talked about our roles when we were on the set. If something didn't work, we talked about it. I mean, it was a congenial set, and we abided by what was right. In other words, everybody had their code for what they dressed. I dressed in white collars and cuffs and really spiffy. Selick dressed in a lot of polo. John Hillerman was very English. And Roger wore overalls and a T-shirt because he was a helicopter pilot. So, I mean, when you do a film, you have a code, and it's called the Bible. And the Bible states where you're from, who your mother and father was, what the city was like, what your upbringing was like. And that's what you base your role on and kind of critique your way through the show. And I was the Chicago guy that lived on a fence of right and wrong. I was not a bad guy. I wasn't a criminal. But I turned my head a little bit if somebody was going to slip a $100 bill in my hand. Where Selick was the uprighteous guy. We all were in the war in Vietnam. I don't think I wanted to be there, but I was. And I was a machine gunner on Rogers, who was DC's helicopter, and Tom was on it. And, it all worked out. The way they specify a story is not always the way it comes out.
Now, Nancy, what was your favorite part, I guess, episode or a different thing that Larry acted in the whole time he was on Magnum PI? Because you could take that role as the wife, seeing his work and stuff like that. What was your favorite part of that whole series?
The one I was in.
No, the one you were in. Okay, tell us a little bit about that. So, and then I want to ask a little bit about Buck Rogers, because I'm a huge Buck Rogers fan. But go ahead, Nancy, and tell us, some specific.
No.
Yeah, tell us about that episode.
I guest starred on Magnum on an episode called Computer Date, and I was married to an older man, and I was having an affair with Rick. And Tom was doing an investigation for my husband, hired by him. And Tom finds out, or Magnum finds out, that Rick is having an affair with this guy's wife, who was me. So we had a lot of fun. And I just so enjoyed it. And in fact, it was on the other day. My husband and I watched it. And what's cool is that we'll always have that piece of film together. So that was really a joy.
That's an easy way to not have to really act, right, Nancy? With that whole episode, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had to tell him I didn't love him, so that was a bit of a stretch, but it was a lot of fun.
And it's what's amazing about Magnum PI is those episodes are still on TV all the time, and you get the opportunity, and it's something that will never die. Tom Selleck is just it's absolutely amazing. Now, Nancy, one other question I wanted to jump real quick was Buck Rogers. What would you say was the more reoccurring situation stuff? I'm a huge Buck Rogers fan, by the way, but I wanted to know, if you were looking at your acting resume, especially because of marrying Larry, having children, and basically being there for him in certain ways. When was Buck Rogers? Before Magnum or after?
No, that was before. That was about a year before. Larry and I were not even married then when I did it, and I absolutely adored that. It was a very long shoot. I think it was a 2-hour episode, and it was just so much fun. I just had a ball doing it. The only thing where I had these boots on that came up to my thighs, which was fine, but the heels were so high my feet ached every night. But it was just a lot of fun. I got to play this woman who was a killer and had my ray gun. It was like playing, like being a cowboy in the future.
Absolutely. And that's such a great opportunity. So now, Larry, you and Nancy got in the radio business in a way with a radio show. And that you had a radio show from 2011 to 2016. Tell us why you guys kind of got together and wanted to do a radio show in that way.
Well, I don't know. The radio show called us and wanted us to do it. And I wasn't nuts about it at first, because I had been asked many times to do radio shows. But I said, if we do it, I want to interview actors and baseball players, football players.
Right, yeah.
And do it my own way. And if you play music on our show, you got to play the kind of music I like. I don't want any of that goofy stuff you can't understand. So, I mean, basically that's how it happened. And the radio show became a great success.
Interesting. And how did you guys work together, Nancy, when you were doing it before and now bringing it back? We're going to talk about how it's a little different this time than the first time. But Nancy, how did you guys work together? My wife and I, here's a little story. The way I started out in radio is at a college radio station 7 years ago, and we did a pilot. And it was a local out in Pittsburgh. And basically, my wife and I had to do it together, the pilot episode. She stopped doing the radio show thing very quickly because she's a school teacher. But we started out together in that way. And I always remember, she's very talented, yet busy with our 5 kids and teaching to ever be back in radio again. But Nancy, how did it feel working with Larry like that, and that opportunity to go back and forth and play off each other on the show?
Oh, it's fine. We've been together many, many years, and we were always known for hosting big parties in our house, and everybody wanted to go to the Manettis. Larry taught me how to cook, and we loved to cook, and we would cook for all of our friends and have a great time. And everybody used to always tell us, "You guys should work together. You two are so funny together. You get along so great." So the radio show was really terrific. And the other thing I want to bring up, Neil, is that Larry wrote a wonderful book called Aloha Magnum. And it's available at larry-manetti.com. And it's a compilation of all the shenanigans that went on the Magnum set and behind the scenes. And it's a fabulous book because, like I said, we're cooks and we have recipes in there.
Awesome.
And Larry went through and did a big episode guide and made comments about each episode and the guest stars.
Oh, that's great.
Little riff on each one. So Aloha Magnum is really a great book.
So, yeah, Larry, so that's a must for a Magnum PI fan to purchase your book, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I give your listeners a tip, don't go on Amazon, because right now they've got some used books on there, and they're very, very expensive. So the only place you can get them now is larry-manetti.com.
Excellent. Now, Larry, was that a blast writing that book and reminiscing on each one of the episodes?
Can you repeat that?
No, I said, was that a blast writing that book and reminiscing about all your experiences on Magnum PI?
It was fun. I mean,
yeah.
When you reminisce, you think it was a labor of love, I tell you. It took quite a long time to do it because, you think about things in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. You think about things where you're in the bathroom. So
exactly.
I had a fellow here that was taking notes, and I had to really squeeze this stuff out of my brain. But once it starts coming out, it flows.
That's great. And that's definitely a must for sure. Now, Nancy, how's the show going to be different than the show that everyone did enjoy for so many years, for the years that you did it, where you're having guests and different things? The show's going to be a little bit different this time, right, Nancy? The one that's about to debut.
Yes. It will be a little bit different. we're not necessarily going to interview someone every week, although we will be interviewing people sporadically. I give a recipe out every week because, like I said, I love to cook. And Larry's going to be telling some of his wonderful stories. You know, Larry is very blessed to be friendly with a lot of iconic people, such as Ernest Borgnine, Robert Conrad, R.J. Wagner, Mike Connors, who was Mannix, and on and on. So he has some fabulous stories to tell. So he kind of gives out one of his wonderful stories every week. We have people that call in, and the time, I must say, goes very quickly.
And is that fun, Larry, interviewing your friends? That's an easy thing, right? When they come on and you know them very well and stuff like that. It's pretty simple, right?
I can't hear you.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, Larry. No, I was saying, was it fun? It's fun interviewing your friends, right? That you've come across from and things like that, and they come on the show. It's really easy to have a good conversation and get information that some other people might not know about that guest, right?
Yeah, well, being an actor, I know the right buttons to push.
Okay, yeah.
No actor nobody likes, if you're in the public eye, you don't like personal questions because it isn't right. But I know the questions they ask, and these are fun. Look, our show's a fun show. We don't get involved in politics. I don't look at people and say you're this or you're that. So I don't want any cards and letters. It's a fun show. We ask questions like Frank Sinatra was a good friend. Elvis Presley is in the book. I mean, there's many, many people that I work with over the years that I've interviewed, and you got to tread lightly. It's I've never had anybody hang up or say anything, and I ask questions of them, which I would like to be asked myself.
That's fantastic for sure. So, Nancy, where's the best place? When is the new show debuting and where people can find it? Especially, I know you're going to have the archives after the show airs as well, but where is the best place people can go to find out about your show?
Well, we go live on Tuesdays, every Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific time, and then they rerun on the weekends. And you just go to crntalk.com, and there you have it. Just go to the Lounge with Larry and Nancy-Manetti, and you can listen to the archive or listen live to the show on Tuesdays.
That's fantastic, and I think that Larry, I'm sure you're excited since the day when you first started a radio show, how podcasting is growing so much now. It's becoming such a huge opportunity to have the archive episodes for people to listen to when they want to listen to them. It's a great thing, and people are more and more into these longer interviews and longer discussions and stories because people are choosing now to listen to podcasts than just the same old things that are available on the radio every day, right, Larry?
Oh, I think it's phenomenal. When I was a kid, I was 12. I started out on WOPA on a radio station, and they used to critique everything. Today, the way the iPods are, and you can go anywhere and listen to anything, I think it's phenomenal. Today, this world is different, and years ago, you couldn't tune in and hear us talk about Frank Sinatra and all the personal stories and about Elvis Presley. I think it's neat. I really do.
I definitely do, and I'm so glad that radio is surviving in a different way. And I'm happy that because people just love to just listen to stories, and that's the kind of thing that Larry, you and Nancy were able to give us today for sure. The best place to find information on you, Nancy, are you guys on social media? You and Larry, that people can connect, or is it more best the website? Are you guys doing social media as well?
A little bit. You can email Larry at the real Larry-Manetti, or you can email him at larry-manetti.com, which is the website. We don't do a lot of social media. You know,